Well, we were covering the Stop Killing Games debacle and what's going on, but this is a bit of a different take. Yes, this is a video from a YouTuber that needs no introduction. This is from Obsidian Ant, and it's titled The Space MMO That Solved the Stop Killing Games Problem a year ago. Make sure we're going to give him a like. We'll link this, of course, in just a moment. Let's see what Obsidian Ant has to say about the various things we're dealing with as gamers and what we can do to combat it.
The gaming community is fed up with studios snuffing out online games and erasing them forever. But one intrepid studio already solved the issue by handing the keys to the game to its community, ensuring the game lives forever. The game is Dual Universe. Now, over the past year...
Dual Universe? I've heard of this game, but I haven't actually looked into it. Does anybody in chat play Dual Universe? What are your opinions? Out of 5, 5 being incredible, you must play it. 1 being, dog water. Which one would you give it if you play Dual Universe?
So there's been that massive movement that we all know about, Stop Killing Games, which kind of demands that when a game is shut down, an online game, that it doesn't die and instead should leave something behind. It's a simple plea for preservation. Don't burn entire virtual worlds that players paid for. Major publishers have been...
That is the crux of the entire movement of Stop Killing Games. Don't destroy digital worlds that people have paid for. If a game is no longer able to be upkept, help the players and the customers, let's call it directly customers, by helping them to still enjoy the virtual world that they love. You know, that's, if Guild Wars 1, one of my favorite games ever, the game I grew up with, my first ever MMO, if they're still active, geez Louise, you know, other games can do it. Is this Dual Universe? Can I play this game?
Slow to heed the call, but one small studio quietly went ahead and did exactly what Stop Killing Games is asking for.
Kind of blocky,
in late
but
2024, Nova Quark, the team behind the ambitious space MMO Dual Universe, handed its players the keys to keep the game alive long after the official servers emptied out. Stop Killing Games was kickstarted literally and figuratively by YouTuber Ross Scott in April 2024. And this after Ubisoft shut down its always online racing game The Crew and left paying customers with nothing to show for it. Scott blasted the practice of killing games as an assault on both consumer rights and the preservation of media.
Well, this is, I don't know why this made me laugh. This made me think of like every old people couple at like Las Vegas. Just look, they even have graphs. It's increasing. We have to get those numbers up. That's pretty sick. So they did what we've been asking other devs to do, which is like, hey, we're not sure about the health of our game long term. We're going to give you the keys to this. I got to tell you, I really am intrigued about Eve Frontier and its involvement in this, because from CEO of CCP Games, Helmar's mouth, they want Eve Frontier to outlast the studio. They're literally building the game in such a way that it can do that. If that's a thing, we're going to report on it. So far, I'm having a good time with the game. So Eve Frontier is kind of coming at it from the other side. Other games, like it sounds like Dual Universe, they're like, hey, players, at the end of our life cycle, here's the keys. Eve Frontier is saying players were literally building the game to outlast us at the start of the life cycle. Very intriguing. Very intriguing.
And understandably, he struck a nerve. The initiative quickly gained traction through petitions and headlines. Ubisoft's decision to pull the plug on The Crew sparked a widespread backlash, an uprising against always connected games. Under the mounting pressure, Ubisoft publicly promised it would never...
Yes. Well done. Yes, well done. Well done. Is this Dual Universe? I'm going to have to check that out. We have other new games that we're going to be checking out very, very soon. We literally have one, I think, tonight. I'm not sure. I have to look at my schedule. But you'll see.
Always connected games. Under the mounting pressure, Ubisoft publicly promised it would never let this happen again with its newer games, specifically pledging offline modes for The Crew 2 and its successor. Governments and gamers alike were taking notice.
I have to rewind. The problem with this is that they're going to make you pay for it again. So it misses the point. So we said this in our last video about this, that gamers, capital G, are not ready for this conversation. If you pay $50, let's call it $60. A full-priced game a year ago was $60. Okay. If you pay $60 10 years ago, and that's all you do, that's the only thing you've done, and you play a game for 10 years, should the studio upkeep a server for you to play? That's no income. $60 over 10 years is not enough. Alternatively, should the studio then squeeze you for every dollar with microtransactions, blah, blah, blah? This is something that the industry is not ready to have a discussion on because the developers and the publishers are too busy milking us for every dollar they can. And the players want everything for free. There's no balance, right? There's no in between. And this is the takes you're going to get on this channel, that this is bad because the Crew 2 means you're going to have to pay for it again. And the whole point of the Stop Killing Games movement was that if you paid for something, you own the game, you should still be able to play the game. What I've said in the last video, and I really think that more studios need to do, is like, hey, we're going to promise in our TOS, or our EULA, whatever, we're going to upkeep this game for 6 years. And then after 6 years, it's going to be a $5 a month charge to access the online features. $5 a month. Not a lot. You're going to miss it. Even $10, but it's enough that it'll help them to upkeep the costs and help with server upkeep, hiring workers, hardware, etc. Or the nuclear option, which a lot of people are calling for, the devs release the code base and they let everybody do stuff and you can rent a server, but renting a server can get more expensive. One of the reasons we didn't rent a server when Dune Awakening launched was because I knew I was going to be doing IT instead of actually playing the game. Because the first year a game launches, what is there, a patch every day? You know, it was too much. I have a wife. I like touching grass. Okay, as Ecclesiastes says, it is good to see the sun. All right, so I like going outside. Sheesh. So it's just too much. I don't think it's a good option to literally have, hey, you like our game? After 10 years, here's the full code base. Should people do that? Maybe. What I think is a better option is there's some sort of middle ground where players can pay a monthly fee, something like that, to continue to use the services. I don't like this. It's like too little, too late kind of thing because they're going to make you pay for it again. So let me read some comments. Should be self-hosting. I mean, I would like that for sure, but we'll see. Release the server hosting binaries, no need for full source. Now that's fair. No need for full source. Just release the ability to host servers. I like this, Main. So like pendulum swing, release full game. Too much, right? Game dies. Too much. Both bad, in my opinion. Release the ability for you to rent servers where the game is already packaged on it. You don't have to release the full code base. Now we're talking. I like this. No need to go full source. I can get behind that for sure. Thanks for the subscriptions. Appreciate that. So touch and grasp the madness. The madness.
Successor. Governments and gamers alike were taking notice. Plus, regulators and big publishers only began grappling with solutions. One lesser-known MMO developer went ahead and solved the problem in practice.
This looks sick. I'll have to check it out.
So, in order to understand how Nova Quark and Dual Universe got to the solution for Stop Killing Games, we need to understand the initial problems. How did this all come about? Well, there is a story behind Dual Universe, and as we recount it here, you'll see how much of it actually ties into so many of the things.
I mean, just from the clips I've seen, I'm going to go check out if I can play this game. You know, like actually, this looks awesome. No wonder I haven't heard of it. Sounds like the game might be dead. I'm going to go look into it and see if we can figure this out. This looks kind of sick.
We've seen in over the years in many other games.
The heck, dude?
Now, before it came a preservation poster child, Dual Universe was an audacious dream.
Yeah.
In 2016, Paris-based Nova Quark launched a Kickstarter for a continuous single shared unit.
That's probably why I haven't heard of it. Probably why I haven't played it. Because it was a Kickstarter game. Okay, there's like a curse of Kickstarter games where they just never actually get there. Never actually do it. One day, we'll see.
Universe, a sci-fi MMO where all players would share one massive editable universe.
Oh, sick.
The concept blended elements of EVE Online's player-driven politics with the boundless creativity of Minecraft, all in a seamless galaxy with
I'm
no
in for that.
distant zones. Over 8,000 backers pledged money to this vision, raising about €565,000, and Nova Quark attracted additional investors on top.
Of course.
The studio's proprietary.
All it's going to take is one game studio to figure out how to do this right, and then we're off to the races. Video games, again, capital V, capital G. The industry has been the same for too long in a very macro sense, and I don't think that things are going to stay the same in the next 5 years. In the next 5 years, I think you're going to see at least one of the major studios close. I don't know which one. We'll see. Probably Ubisoft, honestly, because they're just not doing very well. Just not. Like, go look at their stock price. It looks freaking terrible. I think one of the major studios is going to close, and this is going to give rise to a crap ton of indie studios with all that talent that has gone in. And if one studio figures out a way to make a persistent, social, fun world, it's going to be the next World of Warcraft. I really believe that that's what it takes. Is that EVE Frontier? I don't think so. We'll see, because EVE Frontier still has EVE Online elements. From the outset, people think it's like EVE Online. As somebody that I can now talk about this because the NDA has been lifted, EVE Frontier is fun. And if you like survival games like I do, and if you like space games like I do, you're going to like EVE Frontier. And you can sign up for free, the whole thing. So, you know. The founder pass is paid, but you can like sign up for free to get updates, whatever the heck it is. You know, don't pay for a game you don't want to pay for, champ. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. Let's keep on listening.
Server tech called CSSC promised to support everyone in one world at once, a technical holy ground for MMOs. Sick. And early previews and alpha tests in 2017 to 2018 impressed many with Dual Universe's voxel building.
UI looks kind of it's funny. I like that. UI looks kind of basic. Where is it? Show me. I'm trying to find it. One sec. UI looks kind of basic, but I don't hate this. I've been wanting to do this in EVE for a long time. It's why I wanted EVE Valkyrie. You know, EVE Valkyrie was that VR game that got scrapped where you could go inside fighters. I want this, dude. Playing the crap out of Frontier. I'm telling you, Sovereign, it's a fun game. So EVE Frontier would need a huge overhaul in its current state. Realize it's alpha, but I worry about some of their decisions. I disagree, Mez. I think it's just not EVE players' cup of tea. People that like EVE that don't like survival games are not going to like EVE Frontier because it's a survival game. EVE Online is not a survival game. So we'll see. The game isn't even close to being done. So it's going to take another couple years. You can fly first person EVE, but yeah. But it's not, you're not in the cockpit. You know what I mean? You don't get the cockpit experience like you do in Elite Dangerous, right? You can do it. I know, right, AE? I tell you.
And early previews and alpha tests in 2017 to 2018
fair enough, Mez.
Impressed.
Look, fair enough, Mez. You don't have to agree because games are subjective. You cannot like something I like or vice versa, you know? Nothing but love and all Gucci, you know?
Many with Dual Universe's voxel building tools and scope. By the time a beta arrived in 2020, a large community of player-run organizations had already formed, building cities, space stations, and economies in anticipation of a revolutionary sandbox experience.
Whoa.
So Dual Universe was, in essence, aiming to be the next evolution of the MMO.
You can
Metaverse-like society limited only by players' imagination. Upon the game's official launch, Dual Universe exited the beta and released in September 2022 with a subscription-based model. No free play here, unfortunately.
Sure.
You had to pay a monthly fee to access the universe.
No free model, had to pay monthly. I got some comments on one of our videos recently. We did a react about the situation in Star Citizen, and a lot of people were talking about how EVE died when it gave a free-to-play portion. And I just completely disagree. Because from a monetization and marketing standpoint, if I say to people, a ton of people say, hey, EVE Online, not so sure about it. And I go, you can try it for free. They go, oh, okay. So now they'll play. Before they were on the fence. Now they'll try for free. Because it's free. And you can do a lot. You know, the air career stuff. Chad, why do you think I've been making so many new player guides for EVE? You know? Because I played Elite Dangerous and other space games, and EVE Online was easier to get into because they've improved it so much, for goodness sakes. Goodness. So it's a good thing. And I really think that you got to keep them in the door. Correct. Right. It's not just free. Our isn't correct. It's free for an unlimited amount of time. You can play you can get to battleships and it's still free. Awesome. Literally has never been better. Actually. So I really believe that I looked at old school RuneScape gameplay for the first time. I never want to hear anybody ever again talk about EVE Online's menu-based gameplay after watching people play old school RuneScape. I want no shade. I want people to untweet things they've said about EVE. I've been watching these top streamers play old school RuneScape. They're dragging and dropping just like you and me. They're all tabbing just like you and me. They got menus on the screen. They got graphs and stuff. I don't want to hear it. EVE, better game. I don't want to play old school RuneScape, chat. Come on, dude. Ugh. I'm telling you right now. Ugh. I'm holding off my opinion on the looks still so early. It feels like they're sticking the same models, multiple ships, making them playable. We'll see, Mez. Looks can change for sure. That's easy enough. And again, fair points, you know. So definitely not placing OSRS right now. You know, so people like OSRS because it has that real grindy. OSRS apparently figured out pacing very well. What's RuneScape? There it is. Exactly.
Many long-time testers were eager for the persistent universe to finally begin, but the transition was bumpy. Overclock decided to wipe all the beta progress at launch.
Dual Universe will have a full wipe and reset at launch, but veterans won't lose everything. That's not what a full wipe means.
Dual Universe will have a full wipe at launch. Except for some people, for the elite, those that have been...
It's not a full wipe. You know, don't love that.
Resetting the universe so everyone started afresh. That move, whilst not uncommon in MMO launches, meant veteran players saw years of their creations erased overnight.
Just to be clear, you have to wipe the game at launch. You must. You have to. He just said people had years of work erased. Yes, you have to launch a game on the same playing fields for everybody, especially a social game. You can't have people that have been playing for 2 years have a bunch of towers. Now, what's the point then? Well, what's the point of playing early? You can get the know-how early. You know what the systems are. When I played Dune Awakening, I was able to get to Iron Tier like the first day because I had played in the alpha. I played in the creator beta. I got invited to these things, you know, so this is Obsidian. Yeah. That's why. Now, the problem though, the devs had better, and I don't know this, I have to go check, you know, the first time that I'm hearing about this game, the devs had better have made it clear that, hey, our stuff's going to get wiped. Because if it was like playing for a year, hey, by the way, in a year, your stuff's getting wiped, that sucks. So the messaging needs to be direct. Okay.
Some features that early backers had expected were still missing or incomplete at launch. In other words, the game arrived in a somewhat bare-bones state, despite its long development and roughly at this point, $21 million in total funding secured over the years.
You know what's funny? $21 million. That sounds like a lot of money. Nope. Not when you're talking about a game studio making this: healthcare, salary, assets, tools, brand deals, marketing. $21 million? I'm surprised they had any money. You know, not a lot of money.
Dual Universe's grand ideas were intact, but the polish, the content depth, and the gameplay itself, the gameplay systems, were not fully realized, and there wasn't much time left to get them there.
Sure, you know, I hear about that, but it's at the launch of a game. Not everything is going to be perfect at launch. It still needs to be playable enough, but, you know, we'll see. Let's see how much it is.
The consequences of all of this was a decline in population.
But that looks sick.
Visual interest at launch saw a modest spike. On Steam, the game peaked at around 700.
Hold the phone. That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice. First of all, this looks sick. How you build the ship. If that's how you build the ship, that looks awesome. Very Eva Frontier. I don't know, chat. Would you say that this ship was the first ship you would get as a asteroid belt enjoyer? Would you say that this adventure? Oh, sorry. Oh, excuse me. I didn't mean to. Excuse me. Oh man, I didn't mean to cough there.
The game peaked at around 792 to 800 concurrent players in early October 2022. Oof. And that doesn't count backers using the standalone client, so the real peak was likely quite a bit higher, but nowhere near blockbuster MMO numbers. After that, the numbers only fell. By a few months in, many people started to feel that Dual Universe's servers were feeling empty. And Steam's stats, Steam's charts were averaging pretty low concurrent players by this point. Not many players started to bow once they realized the game's depth didn't match its lofty promise, and community started throwing a...
What kills a new game? What kills a new game? Okay. When you have expectations of things. Yo, thanks for the raid, my friend. I really, really appreciate it. What kills a new game? When you've set expectations that this is going to be the next great space MMO. This is going to be some incredible, awesome thing. Thanks for the raid, Omega. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. And it just isn't that at launch. You know? When Dune Awakening launched, it's the game I just played recently. It's the only new game I played recently. We're going to play another one very, very soon. I got a brand deal for it, so we're going to have a great time with it. When Dune Awakening launched, the game Haga Basin South alone had hundreds of hours. I haven't finished Haga Basin South yet. I'm approaching 200 hours. Not even talking about the deep desert of full-fleshed gameplay. Okay. Now, is there some problems with Dune Awakening? Sure, but I'm having a great time. You know, this, I get it. You play an MMO. Imagine if World of Warcraft launches, but half the zones are empty-ish, and the dungeons are buggy and unfinished, and there's no raid. Is that a game you're going to play after a month or two? Probably not. Probably not.
Around the dreaded label, Dead Game, just months after launch.
Right,
to be fair though, a loyal core stuck with Dual Universe, impressed by what was possible in it. The voxel build.
Are you pooping in space if nobody can hear you fart? Like, follow, comment, subscribe for more wisdom like that. Okay, thank you.
Built-in and scripting systems were indeed powerful, and some truly stunning constructs had been made. But here's the thing, and it's an age-old story at this point, an MMO needs a critical mass of active players to sustain its economy and warfare.
Correct.
The Dual Universe was slipping far below that threshold. By early 2023, markets had stagnated in the game, territories lay abandoned, and server activity was so quiet that players-run events all but dried up. Novaquark kept the lights on and issued a few patches.
That's so sick. Man, I love that. So Steam charts show Dune Awakening's peak last 24 hours, 50K. That's a lot of people still, man. 50,000 players. You know, and this is another whole video concept. I said this three weeks ago. They made the deep desert easier. They took out PvP. So what I said 3 weeks ago was that people are going to be done with the game in a week because now that there's less competition, read no competition, they're going to leave. Because the game's done. They're going to get 10 large ore refs, a carrier for each player, and sand crawlers this week. And that's exactly what happened. They made the game easier, and people left. You know? Have you seen the notes speak its name? Yeah, I have. We actually, our guild's deep desert base is set up. Our officers are killing it. They're absolute goats. So, and Dune Awakening is still super fun. Super fun. And we're having a great time. We're going to play it tomorrow night. But the game has lost a lot of its endgame edge, and 50K is still a lot. People say, dead game. No, it's not. 50,000 players. That's awesome. So, you know, keep it going.
But meaningful updates slowed to a trickle. In fact, the last major update, that's version 1.4, landed in June 2023, after which development largely went radio silent.
Oh, man, now I know it's dead. Man, that sucks. I'm looking at this game going, man, I'm going to play this game today. June 2023. As of this video, it's July 2025. So it was 2 years ago, bro. Dual Universe. I didn't know you, but I wasn't familiar with your game, Dual Universe. Looks like I have to check you out.
It seemed Dual Universe might quietly fade away. An expensive experiment that didn't pan out. And yes, this is all recounted because no doubt many of you have heard similar stories, and perhaps even almost exactly identical stories in other games many times over the years.
I mean, this looks sick.
This, in some respects, is what, at least in part, has led to the Stop Killing Games initiative. And then we come to the next part of the story. In August 2024, a plot twist saw something new, something
let's like rewind a little bit so we can hear stuff.
In August 2024, a plot twist saw something new,
2024.
something surprising. Rather than announce a full shutdown, Novaquark announced something called MYDU, a standalone edition of Dual Universe that players could run themselves. And
what were we just talking about? Chat, I would love to be able to do this. Oh, I got you, Dever. I got you. It's all good. It's all good. This is sick. Chat, I might look into this.
A standalone edition of Dual Universe that players could run themselves and run it offline.
Let's see about it.
On the 19th of August 2024, the studio released this self-hostable client and server package, essentially giving the community the means to keep Dual Universe alive on the private servers. It was, of course, a remarkable move. In one stroke, Dual Universe went from a dying live service MMO to a product that players physically owned, that you could literally install as and when you want, and you weren't dependent on other people.
I will play this game. I will figure out when we can slot this game into our repertoire. I will figure out how we can get a private server for this community that we can all play on. I will figure this out. It might not be this year because I have a lot of NDA stuff happening, okay? but I want to support a studio that did. I didn't know they did this. And I literally said, this is what we should do. Where we agreed at the start of the video, where like, hey, instead of releasing the full code base, just let us rent servers. I will figure this out. How many of you in chat, type 1 if you would play with us on our own community dual universe server. Type 1 in chat if you would play with us dual universe and like I'll pay for the whole thing. You don't have to do nothing. I mean, I'll figure out how we do it, but you won't have to pay for the server. I'll pay for the server. How many of you at least check it out? Okay, well, mods of devs of dual universe. I guess I'll be talking to you.
Servers or technology.
All right, chat,
As
you win.
Quark's announcement put it, with the MYDU client, you'll be able to host your own dual universe server. And they emphasized the fact that players would now have the freedom to play dual universe without a subscription. For a one-time purchase, priced around $35, anyone can download MYDU and spin their very own dual universe sandbox up, free of any monthly fees or dependencies on NovaQuark's infrastructure. In other words, NovaQuark effectively opened the game's universe to its players, not by releasing the code, but by releasing control. Dual Universe would no longer live or die by the studio's balance sheet. It could live on as long as there were PCs out there willing to host it. So from a technical standpoint, MYDU is the full Dual Universe client and server software packaged for private use. NovaQuark ensured it was relatively accessible.
Is Dual Universe on the Marquee Dragon store? No way. You're telling me I can use my own affiliate code? Are you telling me I can buy? You're kidding me right now. Thanks, speaking of that, thanks, use my code. Are you telling me that I can use my own affiliate code? That's gonna be wild. I never heard of this game. What are we talking about? You didn't tell me, Chad. I didn't know. It's crazy. It's not money laundering if I give myself my own thing. Oh my God, it's right there. Dual Universe. What the heck? They're sunset as, MMO servers are sunsetting, will go offline August 27, 2025. Sales of DU subscription codes are now closed. We're working to get MyDU available for purchase for everyone. We do not have a date on when that will be available. So I can't do it through Marquee's store. It looks like there's some very serious things that are happening to it, and I literally can't do it. What I can do, champ, is I can try to ping Marquee to see if he has some codes or something left over. And because we have a good working relationship, I could see what's working on here. Because I don't know. I'm going to ping him and be like, yo, what's the story with Dual Universe? Okay. What's the story with this game? Because this is sick. I didn't know. It looks like Marquee doesn't sell them. That doesn't mean I can't do it. I'm going to figure it out. Give me some time, champ.
Ensured it could run on both Windows and Linux. And they even provided a one-click installer for Windows users to get a local server running with no...
This video came out 8 days ago, so maybe Marquee isn't selling it, but maybe you can still do it in other ways, for sure, if this was 8 days ago.
Technical know-how.
Right.
Of course, hosting a persistent universe isn't light on hardware. NovaQuark estimated that a typical machine could handle roughly 10 to 15 simultaneous players per CPU core.
Of course.
And that's before performance suffers, meaning community servers would be a smaller scale compared to the official single shard that we had originally.
But hey, we get a group of 10 of us. We raffle it off. You know, the patrons always get like the priority access, right? Whenever we do this kind of stuff. We're doing the same thing with our like Dune guilds. Everybody can join, but if a patron wants to join, they get access over you because I'm paying for the stuff. And the Patreon, that's what it's for. To like, you give me $5, you $5, you get access to all this. I'm going to figure this out.
And that, of course, spanned multiple clusters. Still, for a lone player or a tight-knit group of friends, that's more than enough. MyDU also enables godlike administrative powers. Server owners can grant themselves unlimited resources, spawn items, or even mod the game in limited ways. Here, NovaQuark introduced a plugin system for mods.
That'd be sick because I could do events and I could give prizes for like, oh, chat, my... Okay? Gears are turning.
In essence, MyDU isn't just an offline mode. It's Dual Universe's toolbox handed over to the community. Crucially, NovaQuark also provided a way for players to save their creations from the official MMO and transfer them to MyDU.
Have I tried Space Engineers? No. No, I have not. No, I have not. Hey, listen, chat. I'm upset at all of you. You guys got to tell me about these games sooner, okay? You got to tell me about them. so we can cover them. Okay.
Built an exporter for blueprints, the data for any player-made construct, allowing players to download their ships and buildings from the live servers and then import them into a MYDU server. Years of player creativity, from elaborate space stations to giant voxel sculptures, could thus be preserved and carried into private universes. It was a clear nod to game preservation, ensuring that when the official servers eventually go dark, the community's effort doesn't disappear into the void. Now, NovaQuark's motivations for releasing MYDU weren't spelled out in a dramatic manifesto, but NovaQuark's FAQ did state the offline client would let players continue enjoying Dual Universe without a subscription. Many people felt back then that the Dual Universe MMO was of course on life support, barely a few dozen players online most days by mid-2024, and NovaQuark's development on the title had effectively ceased.
I don't want to switch to Nightmare. I'd rather get a Steam Deck. When the Switch came out, this is a whole other video, but when the Switch came out, it was like the first of its kind. I still have my Switch. I love it. I love it. On TV, with me. You know, I take it every time I go on the plane. When I went to FanFest, I played Risk of Rain for like 4 hours on the plane there. Risk of Rain Returns, or 1? I forget which one, but it was the 2D one. The 3D one is too intensive for the Switch. I'd rather get a Steam Deck. Is Kick offline? Did Kick fail? Kick failed because we had a thing? Whatever. Editor, you can take the part out. We'll see.
Rather than quietly shutting down the servers and orphaning the game, the studio chose a strategy that is almost unheard of, and certainly something we don't hear from the larger companies out there. They chose to give the community a way to continue the game on their own terms.
Yes, please.
In my opinion, and maybe you'll agree with this was very much in the spirit of Stop Killing Games. And
did I drop again? Man, internet sucking tonight. Sorry, chat. I didn't even know. Looks like we're back though, so we'll just keep it going.
Long before this became a massive headline here in 2025. And here's the interesting thing. NovaQuark didn't trumpet it as such. There was no grandstanding about the cause. They didn't big themselves up.
Am I going to get the new Xbox next-gen console, but it's built-in Steam, says Ace? I don't know. I have a Series S. I don't really play consoles anymore. Mainly PC. I have all the consoles. I have a Switch, a PS5, and an Xbox Series S. I got them because I'm a content creator, because I'm going to make content on stuff, you know. But do I play them? No. I'm not at the level content creation wise where I can just play games. We'll talk about that. That's a whole nother video, chat. That's a whole nother video. Yeah.
Point out
you guys are killing
they were being. There was
so many topics.
Simply, it was just a simple outcome that did exactly what Stop Killing Games advocates.
True.
Dual Universe is now effectively unkillable. As long as a copy
That's
of
true.
MYDU exists somewhere in someone's archive, the game can be restructured and played offline or on fan-run servers, and this all indefinitely. This small studio then accomplished what players are asking for of the biggest companies in the industry. Of course, this isn't all about saying that NovaQuark did everything right here, that they were a perfect company, because obviously they made some mistakes, some poor decisions were made along the way. Not all the players were happy as the years rolled on, but in the final analysis of things, NovaQuark did the right thing. They didn't kill the game, and they went well out their way to ensure preservation. Now, to be perfectly fair to all of this, the whole situation, as well as the Dual Universe community, the community's response to MYDU was, of course, a mixture of gratitude, excitement, as well as a touch of cynicism as well. On the positive,
I get that, because this was a couple years ago, before Stop Killing Games was even a thing. Really, like, if you backed the game, if you play the game, if you love the game, and it's like, hey, we're not going to update the game anymore, but if you want to play it, you still can. Sorry, chat, my allergies. I get why people would be frustrated, but man, if Ubisoft had done that to the crew instead, you know what? I'm going to take back what I was just about to say. I think how this happened had to happen, because we need the something had to catalyze the Stop Killing Games initiative. Something had to, and this didn't, but an Ubisoft game did for whatever reason, you know. So very interesting, very interesting. And I disagree, Darko. I do not agree. It's just drama. It is something that actually matters to gamers, because it's the first time that this has ever happened in the history of humanity, where digital goods are now 2 decades old and they're outliving the hardware they were built on. So should something you paid for that was for Windows XP or whatever the heck, should that be updated to current hardware and specs, or should it just die? That's one of the cruxes of the conversation. So,
besides, MYDU was celebrated by the remaining fans as a lifeline for the game they loved. Dual Universe always had a niche but passionate group of builders and explorers who
Nice,
had poured
Earl. I
thousands
love
of
that.
hours into its world.
Love that.
For them, the fear of losing everything, all those constructs and scripts and social structures, was very real as the population dwindled. Now, with Offline Edition, they could preserve their work. Indeed, within days of MYDU's release, players began exporting massive constructs from the official server and reassembling them in their private worlds.
Of course.
And some used MYDU as a personal creative mode with unlimited resources, finally free from the MMO grind. Others set up small dedicated servers to continue playing with their friends, essentially treating Dual Universe like a customizable digital D&D campaign. The tone of the game's Discord and subreddit was largely relief. Whatever happened to Nova Quark or the official servers, Dual Universe would still be playable. And even new players curious about the unique sandbox could theoretically buy MyDU and experience Dual Universe's Galaxy Solo, and all of this at their own pace. Not everyone, however, was entirely pleased. Some in the broader gaming community looked at MyDU with skepticism.
Yeah, this back half, chat, this could have been a 12-minute video, for God's sake. This back half section, he's basically just saying the same thing again. This makes total sense to me. I meant what I said in the middle of this video. Because this game looks so interesting, and because I now know that there is a way that I could host the game, I'm going to figure out if, first of all, can I do that? Can I? Do I have the hardware for that? Because my other computer is probably not up to snuff here. So, but secondly, I would love to be able to get some kind of community server going for this. I can tell you that we're only ever going to do one community game at one time right now. And right now that's Dune Awakening. So if you want to play with us, check out my link tree. That's where the Dune Awakening stuff lives. You can get the game from there, and thanks very much. Okay. When that is done after a year or two, maybe we'll figure out how to do Dual Universe. Maybe. So cool if you can. Yeah. Let's see if we can. Thanks for the subs on Kick. Appreciate it. Yeah.
A last-ditch cash grab by Nova Quark. Their argument, after charging subscribers for years, the studio was now asking for another $35 for the privilege of an offline mode, essentially monetizing the game's death.
Right.
There was also a lot of understandable frustration from those who felt that Dual Universe never fulfilled its promises. For them, MyDU was too little, too late. If the game wasn't fun or populated as an MMO, turning it into a private sandbox didn't magically fix that. And then we have the fact that whilst Nova Quark did allow converting subscription time into a MyDU license for existing customers, many lapsed players didn't have active subs anymore, meaning that even loyal early backers were effectively asked to buy the game again. It's certainly a valid critique.
If you backed the game, they should have just said, hey, here's MyDU. Come on. The game wouldn't have existed without the backers. If you backed it in Kickstarter, you should have just been given a MyDU server access. Should have. My opinion. This is something else. So appreciate you don't overreach with too many games. Oh yeah, I don't have time. Because it's quantity is not better than quality when it comes to helping the community to have fun. I like to build watering holes for the community to have fun. So yeah, they 1,000% should have just given the access to the people that backed the game 100%.
And one I completely can sympathise with and totally understand, although it's also worth noting that maintaining an MMO indefinitely is not free. Nova Quark's approach then at least ensured that those who truly wanted to keep Dual Universe had the option to do so. But yes, of course, the preservation for a price model didn't sit well with everyone. Interestingly, that's not where the story ends. Ultimately, even with MyDU out there in the wild, Nova Quark did not immediately shut down Dual Universe's official servers. As of mid-2025, the original MMO server is still online, for the small numbers of subscribers still roaming around.
Right, and based on what we just saw with Marquis' thing, looks like they are shutting down in August, which is in a couple months, the official servers, but it looks like the private servers are still going to be up.
The in-game galaxy. However, the server's population is a shadow of its peak. Sure. Often just a handful of players are there online and via Steam at any given moment, and community estimates put total active users at very low numbers indeed, maybe even at the mere dozens. Build metrics then, Dual Universe's days as a commercial MMO appear to be behind it. And yet, Dual Universe is not dead, far from it. And all thanks to MyDU, the game's universe is being kept alive by its community in a distributed peer-to-peer fashion. One could log in to any fan-run server today and still see the sprawling cities and space infrastructure that players built over the past years, all preserved in all of their voxel glory.
I love that. Like, No, this is super interesting because this is exactly what we want to happen to a game that people love, and people do love it. And when it's just not able to continue, this is what should happen. If nothing else, that the hard work of the devs should live on in places where people actually care about it. So I really like the structure. I think this is the way to do this.
The universe has also effectively entered a quiet afterlife. It likely won't ever see sudden resurgence or return to mainstream attention.
Yeah, we'll see.
There's no new content updates on the horizon, and the bottom line is that the gaming community has moved on to new things. But even then, the game is still there for those who want it. Now, Jeweled Universe's saga, its soaring ambition, its collapse, and its unlikely resurrection, if we want to call it that, or its ongoing lifeline, highlights just how rare it is for an online game to be saved from extinction. The concept of an offline mode for server-based games has long been a kind of white whale in the industry. In the wake of the Stop Killing Games movement, a few publishers have started to take baby steps towards making their games survivable. Ubisoft's high-profile pledge to patch offline support into The Crew 2 is one example, and that after the backlash over the first Crew. Ubisoft did indeed begin working on an update here that would let The Crew 2 run without its servers, and as of mid-2025, they have had a limited test of the mode underway and hoped that the full release by the end of 2025.
This is so intriguing to me. I'm going to figure out how to do that. The main crux of why I want to keep up with this is because my main point as a creator is to help you, the viewer, be able to make informed decisions with your money. And one of the first things I hope you get from this video is don't back a game on Kickstarter ever. Don't do that, because I have never ever seen a successful Kickstarter game. Have you? I haven't. I haven't, man. I would not.
It's encouraging, but also telling that it took public outrage and a coordinated campaign to prompt all of this. And even then, it is a retroactive fix to a game launched in 2018.
Right.
Another example here comes from
sick.
Behaviour Interactive with the puzzled adventure game called Islands of Insight. When that online-only game failed to gain traction, its developers didn't just pull the plug. Instead, they announced that the final...
That's a good point. Board games, yes. Like the Eve Online board game, I backed that because it's the official Eve Online board game, and it hit all the things, and for sure. So MechWarrior, yeah, it did all right. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, lies, JK, exactly. Oh, same with DayZ. DayZ's okay, but definitely it's changed a lot for sure. Was Pillars of Eternity from Kickstarter? Really?
Date in October 24 will permanently modify the game to be offline only, allowing the title to live on for pretty much forever as long as the players want to keep playing it. Unfortunately though, as much as these are certainly positive examples, the wider games industry is still yet to adopt all of this and go down this route. Many of them are still actively resisting it and stating how much of an impossibility it all is. Yet we have these few examples of where it is very much a reality, and that studios can indeed go out of their way and make such things happen. Ultimately, if...
Was Hollow Knight a Kickstarter game? Undertale? All right, well, there are some exceptions to the rule.
An indie studio can make all of this a reality, then so too can the larger AAA studios. I really don't see any reason why not.
I totally agree with Obsidian Ant here, chat. Make sure you go sub to Obsidian Ant's channel. I 100% agree that if a small studio, the ones that made Dual Universe, can make this happen, then bigger studios can as well. What other space games are y'all enjoying? Put them in the comments. I want to know. I want to hear it. I want to see it. And get the best game news in this playlist right here. And if you want more incredible guys, make sure you sub right here. Thanks for 32,000 subs on YouTube. Thanks very much for 32K. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks.